Prosper basketball battled Sulphur Springs for the right to go to the regional semis. Would the Eagles come out on top in a game that lasted not one, not two, but 3 overtimes? The peak of the wrestling season was last weekend. Who would all be able to come away with some hardware from the state tournament? All of this and much more right here on Game Time. Welcome back to Game Time. I'm Brandon Bonaparte, joined by Braden Brandvold, Chris Wafer, and Seth Golden, who, the month of February, we saw the Eagles win a Super Bowl, but
sadly,
a little bit of a consolation prize to you yesterday. They ruled Dez's catch a catch.
I mean, I've been saying this since it happened. It was a catch, and now everyone knows it.
And they would have lost the next game, so really that's not.
No, they wouldn't have.
Yes.
Seattle won the next game.
All right, well, we can argue this later because the wrestling team went to state last weekend and came back with a few impressive accomplishments. We have those highlights for you right now.
The Prosper wrestling team headed to the state tournament on February 23rd and 24th. There, the 16 best kids in the state for each weight class were put up against each other in hopes of winning a state title. The Prosper boys team sent 7 wrestlers, and the girls team sent 3. Out of the girls, Alyssa Alvarez placed 3rd, and on the boys' side, Kaden Mills took 6th, Igor Costa took 4th, Tristan Bauer took 3rd, and LJ Richardson and James Lujic both took 2nd, and Tommy Flaherty took 1st at state. Overall, the boys team placed 2nd, and the girls team placed in the top 20.
For the first time ever, the boys basketball team has made it to the regional tournament. Here's the highlights from Tuesday night.
Prosper versus Sulphur Springs, the 3rd round of playoffs on the line. Let's get to it. We start out with Prosper down by 7, but Kyle Jessen hits a 3.
First points on the board tonight for Prosper, but once they got off, it was a neck-and-neck game for the rest of it.
Now we have Grant Shaw coming around a Tavion White screen for a 3.
And I remind you, Seth, this guy's only a freshman out here.
Yes, the future does look bright, and that made the score 16-11. Now we have Josh Davis coming around for a layup.
Well, something you'll see a lot tonight, Josh Davis driving to the basket.
And now we have Zach Reitzel in the corner, but he takes it to the hoop for another layup.
Zach did finish with 18 on the night, but I think he had a little bit more important points later in the game.
Yes, he did, and that made the score 20-21 going into halftime. And then Kyle pulls up for a deep 3.
Someone tell Kyle the three-point line is a few steps ahead. Effortless range by Kyle Jessen.
Now we have Josh Davis on the layup. Then we have Kyle Jessen cutting through the heart of a defense for a layup of his own.
Kyle finished 43% from the field and 50% from the three-point line.
Now we have Josh Davis, who cuts around the defense for a buzzer-beating layup.
This ended the 3rd quarter, but the action was just starting to heat up in this one.
To start the 4th quarter, Zach Reitzel hits the spin button to get the easy layup.
Sulphur Springs would answer with a 3, though, and keep their lead at 41-36.
Now we have Josh Davis bringing it up the court. He turns around and finds Zach Reitzel in the corner for a 3.
This tied the game up at 41 apiece, and this is when we knew we had a dandy here in Princeton.
That would put momentum back on Prosper's side, as next possession Tavion White would get the block, and Josh Davis would finish that possession with a driving layup.
23 points and 10 rebounds for Josh Davis, completing the double-double.
On to overtime we go as Zach Reitzel pulls up for the mid-range J.
Little spoiler alert, Seth, it would take more than one overtime to decide this one.
And now we have Grant Shaw, who misses a 3, but Tavion White grabs the rebound and finds Josh Davis for an assist to make the score 54-51 in Prosper's favor.
Big 3 set. Davis turns around, shoots the arrow. Little shout out to Bolcutt there.
He did play a big part in this game. And now here's Josh Davis with a missed buzzer beater to end the first overtime. Now on to the second we go with Josh Davis cutting through the lane for a layup.
Davis again getting it done, driving to the basket, but he would get in foul trouble as the overtimes progressed.
Now we have Zach Reitzel losing the ball and Chris Wafer missing a 3 to end the second overtime. Now we head on to the 3rd, where Bryson Lynn, otherwise known as Bowl Cut by the Prosper student section, loses the ball. Kyle Jessen misses the layup, but Zach Reitzel puts it back for the dunk.
An exclamation point on a night won in dramatic fashion by the Eagles. 3 overtimes to decide this one.
It was a game for the ages put on Tuesday night.
The Eagles now take their talents to the Curtis Caldwell Center, where they try to fend off the Midlothian Panthers for the right to go to the regional final. A triple overtime victory for the Eagles. This game went the distance, to say the least.
Yeah, it really did. And Zach Reitzel put the finishing touches on the game with his putback dunk after Kyle Jessen's missed layup. and he added the smile on the dunk. I think
The
we all saw
smile.
that. The smile.
That was pretty great.
Yes, it was.
You could just feel the moment in there. They knew at that moment they were going to advance, and you saw on his face
Yeah, it was the finishing
his reaction.
touches. He was so happy. I think he was so tired. He was finally just ready to get it over with.
Round
Very
4,
tired.
Yes.
Curtis Caldwell Center. We expect you guys all to come out and support. When we come back, we will be discussing some uprising controversy in the NBA dealing with officials. The NBA has been filled with big plays and even bigger trades this season. But despite the usual excitement surrounding the league, one glaring issue has overtaken the games as of late. A growing amount of players have issued their problems concerning the officiating in today's games, claiming that the referees are a little too trigger-happy when calling fouls and dealing with player confrontations. This has prompted athletes such as Draymond Green to say we need to, quote, a whole new crop of referees, close quote. Braden, Seth, Chris, are these players' complaints valid when talking about referees?
Okay, so first off, I don't think Draymond Green is the most credible person to be taking this from.
Yeah, probably
Remember
not.
back to the 2016
fired.
conference finals when he kneed Stephen Adams in the groin? I'm just saying that maybe we should find a
So the
different
refs are
quote
kind of
or-
looking out for people like Draymond who's
Yeah,
being
exactly.
people like
I don't
that.
think
that
he has
wasn't
any
on
room to
purpose.
say that.
That wasn't on purpose.
That was
Okay,
on
when it
purpose, but you
happens
also-
Out of
twice
control.
in 2 games,
Back to the point.
Just saying.
Are their complaints valid?
No, I don't think so. Paul George earlier on Monday was complaining that him, Westbrook, and Carmelo Anthony don't get enough calls. But he's one of 125 players to take 200 contested shots this season, and he's fouled at the highest percentage, at 31% of his contested shots.
Some advanced
That is
analytics
true.
stuff right
That
there.
Well,
is
he's
very
getting
true.
fouled at the highest percentage, and yet he's complaining about not getting enough
You know who
foul
else
calls.
is complaining? LeBron. Why is LeBron complaining of all people? He is the face of the NBA. There's no reason he needs to be complaining about
He
some
does
foul
get a lot
calls.
of foul calls.
Exactly.
Some on a lot of flops.
I mean,
So-
Cavs have been in trouble lately, though. They're getting better, but
He's just mad because they're in trouble right now. He just wants to have foul calls. It makes no sense to be complaining about some foul calls when you're the face of the NBA.
I can agree with that. I think that's a fair statement.
fair arguments here. But when we come back, McKinley Bounds will have your player of the week.
Mu Alpha Theta is selling pies on March 19th for Pi Day during all lunches. Cheerleader tryout packets are available in the front office. Packets are due by Thursday, March 8th. The PHS National Honor Society is currently accepting applications for the spring induction ceremony. The next ACT test prep class begins next Tuesday. Enrollment is still open. Permission forms to enroll in dual credit courses are due to the counseling office by March 9th.
Basketball has passed the third round of playoffs after taking down Sulphur Springs, but wrestling just had multiple state placers. We will now send it over to McKinley Bounds to find out who our player of the week is.
Thank you, Seth. So I'm here with our player of the week, LJ Richardson. He won second in state as a freshman. And so, LJ, first of all, I want to say congratulations. And how did you prepare for this?
I started last year when I went to go watch him wrestle, and I thought I could win it.
Okay, and it was initially a goal, right?
Yes, it was initially my goal to win state, but just came out a bit short.
Okay, absolutely. And after the match, what were your emotions through that after winning second in state?
I was a little bit disappointed in myself, but I was really excited to still be out there and got to wrestle.
Well, it's still a really big accomplishment, so congratulations. Thank you so much for being on the show. Back to you guys at the desk.
Looking ahead to the fourth round matchup against Midlothian, Josh Knight is here with some playoff analytics.
As many have seen and heard around the school, boys basketball battled it out Tuesday night against Sulphur Springs in a game that took 3 extra periods to decide a winner, and the Little Elm loss made it just that much sweeter. This game against the Wildcats made it clear that this is not a 1 or 2 man team. When 2 key starters went down due to foul trouble, Jerry McAvoy and Grant Shaw came into the game and took care of business, combining for 14 points and 7 of 8 from the foul line in overtime, and ultimately put the game away with 2 clutch free throws from Jerry. And after avenging their 0-2 regular season record against Mansfield, Timberview, a game that also needed another period, the Midlothian Panthers have taken care of their side of the bracket and will face off against the Eagles tonight in the regional semifinals. With both teams averaging just under 61 points per game, this will be another perfect example of how defense wins championships. Caden Archie is the 23rd ranked recruit in the state of Texas and scores a third of the Panthers' points, but shutting down top recruits is nothing new to the Eagles. As far as the offensive side goes, sticking to the routine should be enough to move on to the next round, as long as they can take care of business at the free throw line. The Eagles are 32 minutes from reaching the state tournament for the first time in school history and setting yet another record. But they can't do it without you guys in the stands, so make sure to come on out tonight at 6 o'clock, Curtis Colwell Center. Be there. For Game Time, I'm Josh Knight, and back to you guys at the desk.
Well, that is all the time we have for you today. Be sure to come out tonight, 6 p.m. at the Curtis Colwell Center to cheer on your Eagles. For Game Time, I'm Brandon Bonaparte.
I'm Braden Brandvold.
I'm Seth Golden.
And I'm Chris Wafer.